Mr. Holmes, I have something for you. Mr. Holmes, I see what you're up to. Mysterious stranger pursues betrothed woman. But please, let us keep things professional. I have in my possession an envelope containing details of a special assignment for you. Tell me, are you interested?
I believe I am, but to be very clear, Miss Sertle, my interest extends to the message and not the messenger.
So he claims he's not a gal sneaker, seducing women everywhere he goes. Perhaps the truth is even more scandalous?
Please spare me the speculation and return to the matter at hand.
A gang of smugglers, the Eels, have Codona in their clammy grip. The British Empire can abide it no longer. Mycroft insists they be disbanded. But this organization only falls with the capture of their odious leader, Friedrich Panzer. And note well, I did say capture, not kill. Inside your envelope is a map marked with the Eels' warehouses. But alas, we do not know in which Friedrich Panzer resides.
So even Mycroft has his limit.
Indeed. You must be sure to identify the correct warehouse before entering. Because once one is compromised, the other's occupants will scatter. Here are all the files, and feel free to use the archive too. Again, do not enter the wrong location, nor see any harm done to Friedrich Panzer.
Sertle, if you're quite done with the redundant instructions, I shall get to work.
Well, that's perfect. Tortured hero lashes out after rejected romance. Tomorrow's edition will be a sensation.
Excuse me, young man. Where do you think you're going?
Greetings, ma'am. I'm looking for the...
I don't care who you're looking for. You shall not pass. No visitors allowed.
I wish to buy a painting from Mr. Boniface Mercurio. Is he at home?
Dearie, tell me, because old age has made me blind. Did someone write Information Bureau on my forehead? Because I'm not here to answer your questions. Entry is for residents only. If you aren't a resident, please leave, or I shall report you to the police. No visitors allowed. Boniface, sweetie. Is that you? Ah, old age does terrible things to one's sight. I didn't recognize you at first.
How are you, Mum? I'm ashamed to admit that I've lost my key. Do you have a...
For heaven's sake! How many times will you lose that key of yours? Of course I have a spare. You artists all live in your own little world.
Please, accept my thanks.
I would rather accept your rent. You promised to pay me several weeks ago, and I'm still waiting.
I will pay you, I promise, very soon.
You'd better do, my dear. Or else I'll just change the lock. And I won't fall for those cow eyes.
Judging by post-mortem rigidity, the body lay here for 1 or 2 days. Soaked in blood. It seems as if the puddle of blood was here before the rags. The wound is precise. It was inflicted by a razor or a knife. A normal kitchen knife. Could be the murder weapon. The blood has dried.
I've heard of this style of painting. It is called Expressionism.
I wonder where he got that fancy camera. It appears the wine was truly awful. Despite the overall tendency towards mess, you cannot sit with the drawer pulled out like this. Someone left it after searching. Aunt May whiskey, brandy bucks. Quite a collection he had here.
Don't look at me like that, Sherry. I will not touch that dirty floor.
Red skin, tails on the back, reminds me of Werder's description of the stolen painting. Red skin, tails on the back, reminds me of Werder's description of the stolen painting. The chest has been searched. The photograph was not pulled out in time. Such a waste of material. Look at this, John. Isn't it our stolen demon?
Concentrate.
Mercurio was developing photographs when the intruder snuck in. Mercurio heard him coming. While the thief was searching the chest, the painter ran towards him with a bottle in his hand. He smashed it across the thief's head. The intruder had no choice but to defend himself, and the weapon of opportunity happened to be a kitchen knife. Mercurio stepped aside to grab the painting, but the wine-blinded thief attacked Mercurio's throat. When the thief came to his senses, he saw Mercurio bleeding on the floor. He grabbed the rags and tried to bandage him, but it was too late. Why did Mercurio attempt to snatch the painting in the middle of a fight? To strike the intruder? Not with his painting, it was too important to him. It's time for some chemical magic, John.
That doesn't look like the painting we need, Sherry.
As expected, but that doesn't mean it won't tell us anything. Let's put it on the easel where it belongs. I guess this is his most ordinary painting. Spot the two differences, John? Red skin, tails on the back, reminds me of Werder's description of the stolen painting. The chest has been searched. I guess this is his most ordinary painting. Spot the two differences, John? If the intruder didn't take it, the skull should be somewhere here. Nothing behind it. Monster was actually a man. Poor girl. John, you ought to be thrilled. We are now hunting the devil himself.
What were you saying, Sherry? I was too busy sketching the scene, you know, crimes and such like, daily routine. Did you find something?
A photograph. It depicts a man in a red suit with tails sprouting from his back and multiple people in masks watching the scene. It all adds up. But the act of love, it wasn't given willingly, John. It was a violation. And the girl, she was with child.
Give that to me now. Did you recognize someone?
No. Although the victim is not from Cordona, she is African. Look at the ritual scars on her face.
Get that image out of your brain. You have to continue the investigation.
I must speak to the landlady. Perhaps she saw or heard something.
Sherry, you cannot tell her the truth about Mercurio. It will hurt her.
John, that's illogical. Sooner or later, she will come here and discover a corpse, and I still need to talk to her.
Just avoid mentioning corpse, all right? Stick to the character, tell her to call the police.
I'll take that into account.
And wait here. I've redrawn the people in the photograph. Now you can proceed with your investigation without those horrific details.
What's wrong, dear? You look like you've seen a ghost.
Can you tell me if anyone else has recently entered the flat?
Oh, you're talking about that limping man. I'm sorry I let him in. I was scared. And I thought maybe he would motivate you to find money so that you would pay your rent. No offense, dear.
Can you describe him?
Oh, so you weren't at home. I was so certain you didn't leave your flat that day. He was of average height, had a limp and a tattoo on his neck, and he was smoking Malpal cigarettes. My husband used to smoke those. They have a horrible smell I can recognize from a mile away.
Can I ask a favor?
Of course, dearie.
Please call the police and ask them to enter the flat. And don't look inside until they come up.
What? What trouble have you stepped in this time?
It really doesn't matter. Thank you, Mum.
Phew, Sherry, that was close. But you did everything correctly. Now, take off your outfit. I can't let you walk around in a dead man's clothes.
Is this familiar to you?
Sorry, but I've never heard of it.
Do you know anything about this?
I can't help you with that, sir.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
I have nothing to hide, sir, but I've never heard of this.
The best antiques in the district.
Are you able to help me?
Excuse me? What? I'm not sure I know.
May I ask you something?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Time to check your who, what and what, Sherry. Who are you asking? About what and dressed as what?
Hello.
May I ask you something?
Oh, sir, I'm afraid I don't know about that.
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
A man like you should not speak to a man like me.
Everyone's looking at us, Sherry.
You sure
Can I ask you a
know
question?
what you're doing?
What a coincidence. I only learned of this recently myself.
May I ask for your assistance?
I'd help you, friend, but I know nothing.
Can you satisfy my curiosity?
I used to work in a factory too, but things changed. Come back when you change too, then we'll talk.
You obviously haven't thought this all through. Or are you just annoying these people on purpose?
May I ask you something?
No. Not because I don't know, but because I don't care about your problems.
Beasts!
Are you able to help me?
Please, stop bothering me. I don't know anything.
This isn't working. You might need a different tack.
Murderers!
They're completely livid.
First they come to our land, then they murder our people.
Drop them all into the sea!
Where do you think you're going? Speak with the chief.
Sir, this place is off limits to the public. Please state your business or leave, or I shall request that the police escort you out.
My name is Sherlock Holmes. I'm a private investigator. I'm looking for a witness for a case.
A private investigator? Really? Even so, you're not authorised. I can't let you in.
And you are?
I'm Ronald Harlow, here to handle the refugee situation on behalf of City Hall. I'm the acting supervisor here, so I have full authority here to ask you to leave, or I shall order the police to detain you for trying to pass the blockade. Please, step back.
The people in the crowd are shouting about a murder in the camp. Are you trying to hide it?
It's mere assumption. I assure you that the situation is under the police's control.
If it was under control, if there was no dead body, you wouldn't be as nervous as you are. You would be sitting in your cosy dark corner of the City Hall room doing nothing as usual. Yet, you're here, trying to deal with a series of problems you never asked for.
These insults are inappropriate. You don't know what I'm doing for this camp. Even though the rest of City Hall doesn't give a bloody squat about the refugees, maybe I didn't want to be assigned to this camp. But I'm trying to do my best for these people. If not for my work, they might not have any shelter or food even.
I apologize, Mr. Harlow. Perhaps I was prejudiced towards you, but in any case, I'm sure that you would still want this to be over as quickly as possible. The current reality is that neither you nor the police are managing things well here. You are unable to calm the crowd. You have simply never handled a situation like this before.
What are you driving at, Mr. Holmes?
I can help you to handle the situation if you're truly interested in solving things quickly and quietly.
And how exactly would you manage that?
Simply tell the police that I'm with City Hall and I'm permitted to investigate the scene. I'll work out the rest, but in return I need your help finding my witness. She's a young refugee. She's with child or was with child recently.
Look, there is indeed a dead body inside the camp. So even if the girl you are looking for is there, all the refugees are now being detained and interrogated by the police. They won't allow you to speak with her, and I can't do anything about that until the situation settles down.
So it's in our mutual interest to settle it.
Oh. I suppose that things are bad enough that I ought not shy away from help. All right, Mr. Holmes. I'll tell the police to allow you to come inside. Just tell me when you're ready.
Mr. Harlow, how did the refugees end up here exactly?
Oh, so you're not from around here yourself?
I've been away for some time, but I read the papers.
Yes, this whole story has been in the papers for almost a year now. They were smuggled to Cordona on a ship from Africa.
Smuggled? Then why didn't you deport them?
The smugglers managed to sneak them to shore and hide them inside an abandoned warehouse. When the police raided the warehouse and found the refugees there, the ship was already gone. We aren't even certain as to which ship it was. We have busy shipping routes with other colonies these days, you see.
So you decided to lock them up under a bridge?
There was no other option. We're still trying to work out what to do with them. I only hope we'll find a humane solution, and not put them on a raft and float them out to sea.
Mr. Harlow, what exactly do you do here? What are your responsibilities?
What I do, and what I am responsible for, are two different realities, Mr. Holmes. On paper, I am in charge of the camp territory, security, provision, and the refugees in general. What I actually do most of the time is knock on every City Hall door trying to obtain some funding, or at least rations for the camp.
Are the police here on City Hall's behalf too?
They are, minus those who came here after the body was found. The governor won't let the refugees disperse into the island, so there's a significant police presence guarding the camp. Naturally, they answer directly to the police. I have some influence here, but I'm not their direct authority.
I'm ready to take a look at the scene.
All right. Go inside the camp and find Inspector Tewkesbury. He's the officer investigating the scene. Tell him I sent you. Say you're an independent expert from City Hall. He'll fill in the details for you.
I'll find my way with words. Thank you, Mr. Harlow.
Beasts!
Who isn't allowed to visit the crime scene these days?
So they keep these refugees under a bridge like proverbial trolls. No wonder the people outside are so disturbed.
Who the hell are you? How did you get in here?
Mr. Ronald Harlow let me in, sir. I'm Sherlock Holmes, a surveyor of refugee affairs with City Hall. You're Inspector Tewkesbury, I presume?
A surveyor? What does that even mean?
In short, I've been sent to conduct an extensive report on the incident for the Colonial Office, and to assess all the damage inflicted on state property.
Got it. Another paperworm sent to count money and get food for archive mold. Go on, look around, but don't make yourself too at home. As if I didn't have enough problems before you appeared.
Could you first tell me what happened here?
What happened? People from the bridge above the camp heard a woman screaming and saw a mass of refugees attacking a man. Clearly not a refugee. When the camp guards came by, the man was floating in the sewage canal with a knife in his chest. Bam. A murder. Big news for Cordona.
I'm sure. Thank you, Inspector. And none of the refugees were harmed?
One fellow was cut. He's lying over there near their kitchen. He's in a bad way.
You mentioned a woman screaming who attracted the bypassers on the bridge. Was she harmed?
No, she's all right, but perhaps the whole debacle started because of her. She started wailing and the refugees stood up for the girl.
And where is this young woman now?
Back there in the shacks, same as the rest of the refugees. She's being questioned by my men, but she's just some refugee girl. Can't understand much English.
Did you learn anything about the dead man?
The fellow looks like a thug. I've had dozens like him fished out of the sea over the past 20 years. Ever since these refugees arrived, there have been people on Cordona with bad blood in them. My best bet is that this thug had something against them too.
And no clue as to his identity?
He had some items on his body, but nothing to indicate who he was or where he was from.
I think I should catalogue his possessions in my records.
Go on. They're on the table near the body.
Do you have any suspects yet?
You're joking, right? I've got a whole camp full of suspects. And if you ask me, this bloke had it coming. Better bury him and forget about the whole thing. And now there's a crowd gathered at the camp, and my superiors say we must thoroughly interrogate the refugees. At least those who can understand any English.
Do you believe that your superiors wish to get rid of the refugees?
I think that both our superiors would rather keep the story quiet. Since that's an unaffordable luxury now, they're looking how to protect their public image. That's why I have to waste my time waiting for my people to turn every stone and befriend every refugee.
Here we go again. Number of hours on Cordona before stumbling upon another dead body? 0.
Malpal, soaked with salt water. £1,000. A fair sum, especially considering British currency isn't very common in Cordona. A simple leather sheath. Perfect for a dirk. May I ask for your assistance?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Coal dust under the nails. I don't see much coal around here. A steel dirk. Sharp. A common accessory among sailors and soldiers. An interesting tattoo. Does it mean something? I'd say the blade penetrated upward, however the wound is too messy to be certain. Heavy boots, with one sole far more worn than the other. This man was limping John. A violent death. This man, limping. Coal dust. I think we're onto something here, John.
If they find out about the passage, everything will go. Nobody will know anything if you keep your bloody mouth shut.
The coppers smell fishy here. Sherry, just look at this. Living quarters in a sewer. What kind of a genius bureaucrat came up with this idea?
The cut is deep, potentially serious if not treated immediately. He is in shock, feverish and dehydrated.
Sherry, you know first aid. Surely you have a duty to help this man. You can't leave him to certain death.
Someone was dragged against their will.
The refugees have been detained and will not leave until all the circumstances are clarified. Back off.
No one deserves to end up in a place like this.
I can use this to stop the infection from spreading. Just washed. Better than nothing to bandage the wound. I'll use it to create a solution. I've plated all the ingredients, now to prepare the first aid solution. Thank you. This should make you feel better, my friend. Now remain lying down and drink as much water as you can.
Well done, Sherry. At least he won't die from the infection.
Do you know anything about this?
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
Well done, Sherry. At least he won't die from the infection.
Back off.
Help me, please.
A solid question, sir, but I don't have the answer.
You know, Sherry, it's dawned on me to not clown around with knives anymore.
Who isn't allowed to visit the crime scene these days?
I hope I'm not making a grave mistake in trusting you, Mr. Holmes.
You still here? I've already told you all I've learned. I've already told you all I've learned.
The guards at the sewers were speaking about taking refugees out of the camp. Do you know anything about this, Inspector?
Less than you do, obviously.
And this doesn't bother you as an officer of the law?
I can neither punish them nor put them on the right track, if that's what you're asking. Maybe your friends at City Hall could do something about it, but I seriously doubt that. To be honest, I'm sick and tired of being frowned on for my uniform. If those fine gentlemen you've eavesdropped on are in some shady business, that's on their heads. I'm busy. Don't you have papers to fill? City Hall lubberheads.
A furrow in the ground. A blood trail leading to or from the canal. Clearly a left handprint here.
I'm busy. Don't you have papers to fill? City Hall lubberheads.
A fresh crack, as if the crate was hit recently. Someone bled profusely here. Police boots. Always happy to tramp a man's footprint. A heavy boot with a worn-out sole. Oh, carnelian agate beads, a traditional African adornment. The blood sprayed off the blade after the strike. No hint of blood or impact. It might have been used as an improvised weapon. You know what? I'd like to understand.
What?
How did our dead man end up inside the camp in the first place?
Back off.
It's unlikely anyone could get in or out of the camp by water without alerting the police guards. Sealed shut. I doubt our man could get through these grates. A single Malpal butt. Roadman cigarettes. A brand highly regarded by law enforcement officers. So there wasn't any sophisticated infiltration plan. The good old police just let the man into the camp. Now we have everything we need to get the full picture of what happened at the camp. So, we have a thug who came to take a refugee woman with him. She resisted, but he dragged her by force. One of the refugees stood in his way, armed with a stick, yet he could do nothing against a cutthroat with a blade. The man didn't anticipate that the other refugees would intervene and stand against him. In the confusion, the woman managed to break free. The thug took fright and fled. He was stopped by the falling crates, he stumbled and fell, piercing his chest with his own blade. However, the wound didn't cause instant death. He managed to stand, but still bleeding, he lost his balance on the bridge and fell. Before all of this, the man had freely entered the camp through the main entrance. The police admitted him after they had a short smoke together.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. In our man's case, it's the same sword.
You still here?
Inspector, I believe I can aid your investigation. I know who the dead man is and what really happened here.
You do? Well, good for you. But I'm afraid I'm not the one you need to share your findings with. Speak to Mr. Harlow here. He's the one responsible for settling things in the camp.
You don't even care to...
Oh, I do care. Maybe even more than I need to. But I'm only here today to lock the place up, question witnesses, and file the facts. It's sad, but coming up with conclusions is not among my tasks here. You fellows at City Hall do that. Anyway, speak to the supervisor. I'll just stand by and listen to what you have to say.
Mr. Harlow, your refugees didn't murder anyone.
What? Pray tell me what you've learned.
All right, listen carefully. This might solve one problem for you, but will create a few more.
Oh, well, that's a great start.
The man came to the camp intending to kidnap one of your refugees, a woman. What he didn't expect was that the refugees would stand up to protect the woman. A brawl had broken out. In the chaos of it, the man stumbled over those crates and fell on his own blade.
How do you know he fell on his own blade?
The wound in his chest was inflicted from an unusual angle. It was not an offensive stab, shall we say. The refugees didn't touch him. And judging by the blood at the scene, the intruder managed to raise himself but was unable to walk very far. He ultimately fell into the canal.
But how did he sneak into the camp? Why didn't the police see him?
And this is where your new problems emerge, Mr. Harlow.
What do you mean?
You're not a dull-witted man. You know what I mean. There is no feasible way to get into the camp without the police guards knowing of it.
The pile of mess I had to sort out has just become bigger, but somehow that doesn't surprise me. Anyway, I thank you for your help, Mr. Holmes. I'll take it from here. Meanwhile, I'll make sure the police aren't detaining the refugees any longer. You can go back in and look for your witness.